Hi, this is Elliot. Today I want to talk about this concept of a data furnace and how a data furnace can be used to create a passive income machine. I came across this paper in 2011. It's from Microsoft, and it really talked about this idea of being able to take a unit and have it do computations, and it, produces heat. I mean, all computers basically do that. Your GPU, your CPU. A lot of times, what we do is we take the excess heat and we just try to dissipate it. So we use heat sinks, we use fans, but the idea is that you can say, like, hey, don't do that. Like, don't get rid of the heat. Use the heat to do something else, like heat like your home. So I saw this paper, Microsoft, loved it. I really dove into it and really, got enamored. And I ended up doing a YouTube video, and I'll kind of go through, play a little bit of the YouTube video and then kind of talk about like how things evolved, because it was kind of realized through something else that we all are very familiar with, but there were also global impacts. So you got to stick around for that, and I'll talk about what happened over time through this evolution.
Hi, this is Elliot. Today I want to talk about the idea of a data furnace. Yes, that is a very different concept. So what is a data furnace, you may ask? A data furnace is very similar to like your conventional furnace that runs on wood or gas, except that it runs on data. So it's the idea of creating this dual use machine where you are actually taking the heat from a rack of computers or a huge cluster of computers, and you're using that heat to actually heat your home or other structure.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there. If you want to see the rest of the video, please watch it. I'll have a link in the description. But really, it's this idea that you have this unit that's called a furnace, and it's going to, let's say, just run on electricity, and it's going to produce a couple things. It's going to produce computational power. It's also going to produce heat. And you take that excess heat and you use it to heat up an area like a home or a building. But the other thing is that computation, you get rewarded for it. So Bitcoin actually came out in 2009. I wasn't really aware of Bitcoin until a couple years after this. And then once I kind of understood like how cryptocurrency miners work, I immediately went back to this and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a data furnace. And what I saw people doing was actually taking the heat that was coming from GPU mining or CPU mining, and or even ASIC mining, and they were using it to heat spaces. And so it was really interesting how that kind of came full circle. Now, going back to some of the environmental impacts is that everybody just went crazy for Bitcoin. And what was happening was people were taking cheap electricity and producing computation, which would result in hashes to allow you to get rewards for Bitcoin. So this idea like really kind of evolved, and Microsoft was kind of looking at it from like the enterprise perspective, but people started to do this in their homes. People started to do this in remote sites where electricity was very, very cheap. And instead of just kind of trying to like cool those units, because those units get very, very hot, they were just using that heat. Like, go put this in a very like cold region, and then you don't have to worry about like heat. You just run your miners. So it was really, really interesting that this evolved over time. And you may not be aware of it, but some countries started banning the use of Bitcoin mining because there is environmental impact, because people are taking energy that is coming from oil and then they were converting it to electricity and using that for trying to solve the Bitcoin like solution and getting as much hash power as possible. So it was really, really fascinating. And so this paper really led me to get into cryptocurrency, and it also kind of gave me this idea of this kind of passive engine where you set up this miner and you literally just, once you configure it, it just runs, and it requires very little maintenance. So it's really passive to low maintenance income, and you turn it on and it just works. And so that was something that really was very, very interesting to me. And it's still kind of happening. People are still kind of, like angry about Bitcoin. But there are other cryptocurrencies that don't require as much, I would say, geological impact or ecosystem impact, with a lot of heat being generated or burning a lot of fossil fuels. So that's what I really wanted to share. Again, if you want to, talk about this a bit more, drop a comment. I was just fascinated that, I saw something, 11 years ago that eventually materialized, and it was just kind of nice how you see patterns. This is Elliot from Gigs Online. Thank you so much for watching. If you got questions about the Data Furance or even crypto or blockchain or miners, I've done all that stuff. And I'm pretty familiar, so please drop a comment. If you found this content useful, please like the video. Also subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your time, and that's all I got today.